Hello everyone and welcome to another Sea Power video. Today I'm going to make a special video kind of, this is typical of new games or games that you have been playing for a while and suddenly you realize after playing it for a while that, man, had I know all this stuff from the beginning, how different everything would have been. So these are 10 things that I wish I had known since the moment I began playing Sea Power. And I'm betting that even if you have been playing this game for a while, you probably won't know at least some of them. But before we begin explaining each one of them, let me ask you to like the video, to comment down below on the things that you found on the game that you didn't know before. Tell me if you didn't know any of this, if you did know all of this, whatever. And if you aren't subscribed yet, well, what are you waiting for? Very well, let's move on. The first thing is. Well, the first thing I wish I had known is that you can change what weapons free do. Now, if you don't know this, you have several different ways to order your ship, vessel, plane, submarine, whatever. There are different ways to order it to respond to enemy threats. The first is weapons hold. Weapons hold essentially holds fire. No missiles will fire. I think closing weapon systems do work, but the rest is shut down. This is not really good for most of the situations you will find in, but this is kind of the peacetime status for a ship. Next one is weapons tied. In weapons tied, your ship will fire at incoming enemy ordnance. So missiles that are coming your way, well, your ship will fire at them. But enemy planes, they won't engage. Enemy ships, they won't engage. Enemy submarines, they won't engage. Finally, you have the last one, which is weapons free. Weapons free, at least until a couple of patches ago, essentially told your surface or plane or submarine, whatever unit, to fire at anything enemy which is in range. And that's never good. Because, of course, you might be within range of enemy ships that you don't want to fire yet, or that you are holding fire for whatever reason you don't want to fire to them. So, in the pre-patch days, Weapons Free did this. Well, first I'm going to... this. Yep, we do have an enemy ship detected within range, and it begins firing harpoons, and begins firing with the gun, and then the plane is in the receiving end of a couple of missiles. Well, as it turns out, you maybe don't want to shoot all of these ordnance to a tiny merchant, well, not tiny, but to a merchant, right? Maybe you want to save those harpoons to an enemy ship that really warrants them. But with weapons free, this is what happens. Whatever is in range, you shoot. And you don't have control over what you shoot. It's automatically decided. However, there's a way to change this. If you go to the options menu and you scroll down here, see this, player units how to attack surface targets on weapons free. Unlock that. And accept. And now you can go to weapons free. And look at that. Harpoons, they are not bothered. You have a surface target here and it's not firing, but the Mark 26s are firing standard missiles. So with that box unchecked, your ships will engage enemy planes, but won't fire at enemy ships, submarines, etc. Those you will target yourself. For me, it's pretty much... There you go. For me, it's pretty much obvious that this is much better if left unchecked. But don't forget, you can check it on. In a couple of scenarios I downloaded from the workshop, this is really useful to have on. But for the most part, well, remember you have it there. Unlock it and remember you have it there. My next advice is about using your middle mouse button. Now, I'm sure that in many cases, we have chosen something like here, then click back. And when you click back on your units in a formation, suddenly it chooses a plane that's not the leader. And then you give another order, and suddenly you find out that it's just one unit, and then you have to say, no, go back. For a second. No. Go back and rejoin the formation. And that's because when you click here, see, now it shows the third plane in the formation. Well, there are two ways to directly choose the leader. First, Information Manager, click twice, always go to the leader. I do this a lot. I've seen some YouTubers and some content creators that they don't have this screen on. I always have. I always do, because it's really useful. You double click, it's on the leader. But if for whatever reason you are managing things on the map and you click here, see, well, now, look at this. I'm going to click middle mouse button. Automatically goes to the leader. And then if you are smart enough to put other things in your mouse, and you can do it now here, see here, switch to next unit information and switch to previous unit's information. I have 5 buttons in my mouse. Left click, right click, middle mouse button, and then I have 2 more on my thumb. Okay, and you see that here I have mouse 4 and mouse 3 in these buttons. So if I go here, and I'm going to change, I want to give orders to number 3. There I go, I have number 3. So number 4 is here. Back to leader, middle button. Very, very easy to give, especially this is really useful when you are giving multiple orders. If, for instance, I have an enemy here and I'm saying like, I stop, I give orders to leader, then I go orders to a second, then I give orders to a third, then I give orders to the fourth. Really, really useful. Another thing that's really useful and that I think a lot of people don't know is that, and this is particularly useful for submarines, but not just for submarines, is the pop-ups that you get with your mouse cursor, which especially affect to speed and depth. When you hover over depth, it tells you the order depth that your submarine has, for a second, then tells you the thermal layer depth. This is vital and critical information for any submarine you have. So let's say I'm going to give this guy orders to go to depth below the layer. And then you'll see my order depth, the thermal layer depth. The next thing is that this works also here. If I tell him to go ahead flank, you'll notice we are beginning to cavitate. Order speed 33. Now, if I click on this button here, which is the cavitation allowed, and I disallow it, the submarine will automatically reduce power. Even I order flank speed is only to go as fast as the depth allows for no cavitation. And here you have order speed 33 knots, but avoiding cavitation speed limited to 12 knots, because we are shallow enough that if we go any faster, we will cavitate. Of course, we are diving. As we go down, the cavitation speed increases. Finally, we will be, see, now it's 14. Enough time pass as we dive, and if we order to go down enough, and there will be a depth where cavitation doesn't happen even if we go at flank speed. Again, this is really useful for, especially for submarines, not just for submarines, but especially for submarines. Another very useful thing to know is how to see your weapon seekers on the map. Now we have our F-14s again, and I know that we have an enemy close by. I'm going to, there you go, radar on, and we detect this guy. I'm going to mark it as hostile because again, I know he's hostile. And now, as soon as we are in range, we will be firing. Okay, we are well within range. So I'm going to tell him, I'm going to tell number 2 to get a Phoenix and fire here. And there it goes. Well, the missile is on the way, and if we click on it, we don't see its seeker's head. The Phoenix has an active radar on it, but we don't know the range, we don't know how wide it is. We can see it if we go to map layers, in the tactical display settings, weapon seekers, click that. And now, see, That's the seeker of the Phoenix. Now, when it's like this in a light blue, it means that it's inactive. Right now, that radar is not searching for anything. Why? Because we are looking, it's being guided by the 14. But as soon as it comes within range and number 2 stops guiding the missile, this radar will switch on and we will see it tracking the enemy. There we go. See, now it's active. Now it's being guided by the onboard radar. This is very similar to what happens when you are fighting a harpoon, for instance, even while the harpoon doesn't have mid-course guidance. And boom. Same story with harpoons and any other weapon system. So for instance, we have an intruder here. I'm going to give it orders to move there. And let's say we know there's an enemy here. Let's go to the harpoons and order them to be fired in this direction. Fire, 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 fire. They are going to go down. And then they will begin going in skimmer mode. But if we come here, see, we can see the seeker. Why? Because we have this enabled. Another thing that happens a lot in the scenarios, and is actually kind of a pain in the ass, is when you have a lot of ships or planes around you and you don't know what's enemy and what's neutral. You only know that you are detecting something, but you don't know the ID of it. Well, there's a way to try to discriminate if they are enemies or not. And that's it, to take a platform that is in line of sight of that object. For instance, we know this is in line of sight. Why? Because our radar is making contact with it. Okay? If we have line of sight, we have radio contact with that guy. We can right click on it and request that it identifies itself. If I go to the submarine and I select the submarine and then I select the contact, right click, cannot communicate with track 7001. Why? Because this submarine doesn't have line of sight with this guy. It's underwater, doesn't have the radio on, and even if it did, it's very far away, 600 miles away. But with this guy, has direct line of sight with this guy and this guy. So let's try. Let's say that we have the E3 selected, we click on this guy, then right click, request identify, and he doesn't respond. Enemies don't respond. Neutrals sometimes don't respond because they just don't feel like it. Let's try it with the ship. And he agrees to comply. If you have the event log up, look at that. This is USA, E38, so unknown vessel, position of the vessel, course of the vessel, identify yourself. And then this guy, he agrees to comply, and now we know that this guy is actually a neutral merchant. Again, doesn't always work. You can go here with the E3. See, if I have this selected, I can, it's not mine, but I select this guy, I go here, and I say identify yourself, try again, he doesn't respond. But if it doesn't respond, doesn't mean it's an enemy. It just means it doesn't respond. But this way you can discriminate maybe half the unknowns, the neutrals who are unknown in a given scenario. Really, really useful. Another thing I want to talk about is about the F10 menu. This is a debugging menu. I don't think this is going to be in the final release of the game, but for the time being you can use it. And here you have a lot of different things. Tabs, information about hits on enemies, camera options, test mode, for instance, if you want to check animations. Let's say we want to check the animation of the gear extending, and that you got it. That you want to retract it, and it retracts it. Difficulty settings, if you want to change the amount of fuel of the vessel. ESM, if you want to check on different bands, the bands that this plane has. Now maybe we want to check on them all at the same time. You can change that again. You can cheat the system basically. in general, I don't use it because this is this is cheating. But if you want to play with the game and find what different things do, this is a very nice thing to go. You also have a very nice thing which is a self-destruct that you arm it, and boom, that thing is no more. Let's try it again. Let's say that this F-14 suddenly has to go. Why do you want to use it? Well, sometimes in your scenarios, one unit bows out. Maybe a plane that's trying to land, and for whatever reason, it begins circling and is the next in line to landing, and until it lands, nothing else will land. Well, if it's bugged out, bad thing. Well, you can get rid of it. I mean, I'm not going to cover all the things that this menu can do, but it's really, really wonderful to try it out. Okay, another thing we want to tackle is, I'm going to order this guys to 10,000 feet. Another one thing I want to tackle and explain, and that I didn't know at the beginning, is how formation fire orders work. Now we are in range of enemy contacts. And if I order the lead of a formation, look at this, F14A1, this is 1. This is the number 1 of the formation, this is the leader. And if I tell this guy to fire, everyone fires. Okay? However, if what I want to do is to fire just one missile from one of my planes in the formation, I'm going to choose A2. I stop, give the order, and stop. And no one else has fire, only that guy. So remember when, for instance, if I have, let's say, I have 4 planes, right? I want 2 missiles here, 2 missiles here. Well, then I will select my formation. I have number 1. Well, number 1, I don't want to fire yet. Number 2, I'm going to give him orders. There, I order him to stop guiding. Fire at this guy. Then I unstop and stop. See, status engaging. Next one. You fire as well here. And stop. Engage. Now number 4, I want him to fire here. And stop. And finally this guy will fire, but as the others already have their orders, when I order this guy to fire at this dude, see, it's 001, but the others who were firing at 002 will still fire at him. Let's see how this plays out. Everyone fires. But do you see the tracks? They are guiding at different planes. Remember the stop and stop. So you have to, let me illustrate this again. Ceasefire is X button, very important. Now another thing that's really important. When you queue an order, for instance right now, I gave order, see, information, I order him to stop guiding. I give this order. See, status is still information. That order still has not been processed. As soon as I unstop, see what happened? As soon as I stopped, it's there. You have to make sure that each plane has its orders before moving to the next one. And if you want to cancel orders, for instance, this weapon has been fired, and I don't want this F-14 to be slaved to this missile and to be guiding it because I want it to move elsewhere. When then I hit X, do you hear that? Ceasefire. I uncheck and now it's just information, it's not guiding. Well, that's a lot of phoenixes that are going for those 2 poor enemies. Now, another thing I wish I had known since the very beginning of the game. Let's give orders to this guy to move. Sonobuoy deploying. Of course, you can do just click on the map. Well, not 50 miles, let's put it here. And the helicopter will happily go there and deploy 1. You want to deploy more? You queue with Shift and right click on wherever you want the sonobuoys deployed. But this can be a really tedious process if you have a lot of helicopters and you want to deploy a lot of sonobuoys. There's another way, which is to choose this. Well, I'm going to reset these orders. You click here, you can hit Control in the keyboard, and right click. And then you will deploy a pattern of 9 in this way. I wish there were more patterns because this is, they are too close to each other, but it's a way to quickly give orders to deploy a lot of sonobuoys in an area, which actually are pretty decent. This covers a 4x4 square, 4x4 miles square. And if there's a submarine here or close here by here, yeah, you are going to hear it. But this is a very, very fast way to deploy sonobuoys. Just remember, helicopters have a very short supply of sonobuoys. If you have an anti-submarine aircraft like a P3 or an IL-34, well, those have a lot of sonobuoys, and you can really exploit this. Now, the next tip is for torpedoes, and this I really wish I had known from the beginning. Now, I'm sure you're aware there are a lot of different models of torpedoes in the game, and you can access their information screen from here, or by going to the unit reference and by clicking on the screen of the torpedo. In this example, we have two. We have a Los Angeles and a Victor 3, a very strong, strange pairing, but it's just for the sake of this video, okay? Yeah, well, if you choose a Mark 48, you will know that it has wire guidance. But if you do this, which is, oh, there's an enemy there. I know it's an enemy, so let's fire a torpedo. Fire. Well, I would never fire at this range to begin with. And the torpedo will automatically leave the target and go on its merry way on its own. Let's click on the torpedo and we see it turning and going. Well, torpedo guidance is a thing that honestly should be a lot more, not necessarily complicated, but a lot more detailed in the game. Right now, it works this way. If you shoot at an enemy with a wire guided torpedo, you lose the wire guidance. It's like a snapshot. You fire at the enemy, you cut the cable, and the torpedo goes on its own. You can't maneuver it anymore. And at first, I was really dumbfounded by this because, I was clicking on the torpedo. I couldn't maneuver it, and I was like, okay, what the hell? This is a wire-guided torpedo, and I can't control it. What's the point of wire guidance? Well, in fact, if instead of doing that, you come here and you click on position, there goes the torpedo, and now I click on it, and I say, oh, no, the target is there. See? Oh, no, the target is there. The only thing I hate, well, not I hate, but I wish was here, is depth control. You can control the depth of your torpedo, but you can control the direction, you can lead enemies, you can, if it turns away, you can correct, because let's face it, this torpedo is on its own, and it's pointed ahead of the enemy because the enemy is here. The torpedo is going in this direction. If this guy right now says, oh, there's a torpedo, turns around, when the torpedo reaches here, it will detect nothing. Meanwhile, with this, I can guide this torpedo directly for the enemy. Say, okay, I think it's going to be there because it's moving this way. If this guy turns, then I can correct. Okay? Well, that's for the Mark 48. Now let's go with the Victor 3. The Victor 3 has another kind of torpedo, which is the UZ-80. The UZ-80 has two versions, which is active or passive. No wire guidance. Okay, here if we fire, you're going to see it there. If we fire on target, this is passive mode. It will go in a straight line until it detects an enemy. Now, as you can see, the torpedo has gone in a straight line from our submarine to this merchant. Now, we need to hope it picks the sound of this merchant. If it does, it will guide towards it, and if not, it will enter a search pattern. Let's see what it does. The problem with the passive torpedoes is that it didn't pick it. It's beginning the search pattern. They need a strong but a strong noise to follow. And these merchants are moving quite slow, only 9 knots. So it didn't pick the noise up. If we go here and we say let's fire on. Position is moving towards north, so I'm going to aim here. You will see the stern difference in the way it works. And actually, this is the way that you should be firing these torpedoes. You can see that for the initial run from the submarine, the torpedo goes in a straight line towards the ordered position, but roughly 3/3 of the way there, or 3/4 more or less, well past the midway, they will activate the seeker head and they will begin doing a snake to begin searching for target. Okay, it activated it and it actually didn't do a snake. The first turn, it detected the enemy. Now it's guiding towards the merchant. I will hit it automatically. So yeah, those are two ways to fire on enemies. These are the only two torpedoes I have fired that have this functionality. The others that I have tried, they are only single mode, and those work the same if you fire against position or against an enemy. But this is how you do it. This is how you modify the way a given torpedo switches between their different modes: active, passive, working, wide guided, or not. And this last tip is about a mod, actually. Now, there are some mods that improve or change the platforms in the game. For instance, the NTU upgrade, the BLS, iOS, etc. Now, this is not a change of a ship in the game to give them better weapons, better upgrades. No, this is a mod that actually changes the carriers to work as they should. Because let's face it, in vanilla carriers are a little bit wonky, to say the least. Well, the mod I'm talking about is the Air Deck Operation Upgrade. The link is down in the description, and this is a mod I highly recommend you. It's a must-have. And this changes the way the catapults work, but more importantly, the way that recovery works. For instance, in vanilla, if you give orders to take off to wherever, let's say I want to send up 4 F-14s, in vanilla, only 2 will be launched at the same time. With this, 4 get queued, but first, the hangar's doors open as the elevator goes down, which gives you faster times. Now, you can see the 4 planes come up, and now one stays put, the other 3 occupy catapults. The 4th doesn't. It only fires 3 at the same time. You'll see the steam soon coming out from number 1, number 2, and number 3. There we go. Number 1 is getting ready. Number 3 is getting ready. Number 2 will get ready soon. There we go. And as soon as number 2 is ready, the plane on the elevator will come up, assume its position in catapult number 4, and then it will be launched. There it goes. Steam in number 4, afterburners up top, and the plane comes off. Very well. That's one of the applications. Of course, when you're launching just 4, it's not that big of a difference because it launches 3, then takes time to launch the 4th. But if you are sending, I don't know, maybe 12 planes up, this really quickens their operations. They go up much quicker. But the most important thing is how they do RTB. If I go here and I tell them RTB, please. Well, in vanilla, they begin circling around the carrier, and maybe one lands, it's 5 minutes or something like that. It's really bad. And it's particularly bad in the case of the Nimitz-class carrier. It takes forever for it to recover planes. I don't know why. They just take forever. With this, the logic of recovery changes a lot. All planes do the same. They come to a place roughly behind the aircraft, and they begin doing a standard lap around the carrier before landing. You will see that. Okay, they are reaching the last leg, and one of them has already split. See, and now they are going to do a standard pattern around the carrier. They will do the downwind, the upwind, then the downwind, then the base leg, and then they will land. The fun thing about this is that the others wait here like this. When this formation reaches this point, the second one will depart and follow this guy, number 4. You'll see when it reaches there. Now the fun part is that it splits planes out of these guys who are making around here, they are circling. Now the other one splits apart and it comes behind the first one. After a couple more circles, and once this guy has assumed his pattern around the carrier, another one will split and go behind this one. And then they will land one behind the other, instead of circling all the way in a massive circle around the carrier, which takes forever, and as a result, the planes only land each 5 minutes. Arrestor hook is down, gear is down, and now it's assuming the proper approach pattern path, while the previous one is in the final leg and soon will follow in the landing approach. See, this guy is in final, and this guy is already with the gear down, ready to land. Meanwhile, here we are approaching the carrier. Final correction. Hooks it, and immediately sends the plane back to the elevator. So that by the time the next plane lands, this plane is out of the way. And meanwhile, the third one is already in the final leg. See this? This doesn't happen in vanilla. You need this mod, trust me, you do. Otherwise, carrier operations take forever. And as we drop one plane, the next one is in final. And down it is. Same process. It will go down to the elevator, cleaning the deck for the next guy to come. Now, the other great part of this is that if you are engaged in landing operations, you see all planes go down by this elevator. So in Manila, you can do this. While planes are landing, you can't make others take off. But here, if I say, oh shit, I have something I have to respond to, I can use the 2 forward catapults to send planes. Case in point. I'm still recovering planes. I have a guy in final approach, but these elevators are taking the planes I order. They only launch in 2s, so you have a reduced launch rate, but they still launch. And this is obviously something real carriers do as well. It's the whole point of having an angle deck, so you can carry operations with the forward catapults while you're recovering planes with the angle deck. Now, you will see this. As one comes from behind, we are launching 2 on the front. Deflector is up, but we are recovering at the same time we are launching, which adds a massive layer of flexibility to the carrier and reduces a lot the vulnerability of being on recovery operations, because, as I said, recovery operations take much, much longer than what they should. Well, mix that with the fact that you can't launch planes while you're recovering is a nightmare. Well, this mod solves it all. Highly, highly recommended. Again, link is down in the description. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed these tips that I wish I had discovered much sooner, because they would have made my life much easier while playing the game. If you have any other that you want to share, you can do it down in the comment section below. Also, let me know. Did you know any of this? Did you know all of this? None of them? I'm really interested to know. Also, remember to like this video and to comment if you liked it. Really need the help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, remember you can help me and you can support me not only by liking these videos, commenting this video, sharing this video. You can also help me by subscribing to the channel, and if you want to do so, by becoming a member of the channel itself here in YouTube, or by going to Patreon and helping me that way. Thank you very much for watching, and see you later.